Well, hello everyone. Excuse me. Here we go. Going to start off with losing my voice. Real Deal is back with some more news for you. This is the special town meeting, or I should say the Townsend, Massachusetts special town meeting, hangover edition of our channel. Today is, what is today? March 11th. Last night was a special town meeting. Had some interesting things on the agenda, which I had previously talk to you about. I didn't go. Geez, I do sound like I have a cold now. Great. Anyway, I didn't go. I haven't been feeling well the last couple days, and yet last night was no exception. So I missed the party, but I heard a little bit about it. So and I don't have cable, so if it was on Channel 9, I missed it, and I'll never have Channel 9 again. And that's gone. So anyway, I want to come up with a few things to tell you. I want to talk about what some of the Board of Selectmen plans, or what they were planning prior to last night, on in the event of a disaster. And of course, anybody with a brain would have known that the override was not going to pass in the fashion that the selectmen wanted. It was just never going to happen. I don't even think whatever did happen, and I don't know. I, I'm getting mixed messages, but I don't think what did pass is going to, it's just not, it's not real. Was not excited about them putting an override thing, this preliminary override. It, Different people go to special town meetings, then vote in the election, and then again go to an annual town meeting. They're not the same people. There's a core bunch of people that go to everything, but most people, it's different. It's a different audience. And like what they did last year was they had this special town meeting in March, and the override for the schools won over the audience. And it wasn't close. It was all in. Let's do it. But by the time it got to the election, things shifted. It still only lost by one vote, which was amazing. And that was only by a recount. No funny business there. It was close. It was unbelievable. But then it did. Of course, it didn't pass. So I was not excited about there being an override vote in March, because I feel like it will give the selectmen false hope on what to expect. And now I'm left with mixed messages. I'm not, I mean, I think the townspeople gave a mixed message, which is not unexpected. I'm not overly shocked by any of it on the budget issue. I'm not. I just think we need people in town hall. We need a board of selectmen that has the first clue about budget management. It's not who's sitting there now. They're just completely lost. And again, I'm going to reiterate, back in May, you're going to see the article on the town meeting warrant to go to a 5-member board. Please pass that in May. If we have a 5-member board, we're going to have, you have to convince whatever, if you're on the board of selectmen, you have to convince 2 additional people of whatever your grand scheme is. You in most chances are good that there's, out of 5 people, somebody has some common sense, or they'll have skills, they'll have knowledge that they can impart on the other members, and that maybe sway to something that makes sense. When you have 3, you're really not, you don't have it. You just don't have it. And we won't have what's going on right now, which is 2 people who don't understand. And then you're never going to have a majority unless you have all in. So, because we only have 2. If we had a 5-member board, we would have a majority even with 2 people that quit last fall. And I'm going off of my advertisement for a May town meeting. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring it back to current. But this is pay attention right now, because some of this nonsense will go away. Well, hopefully some of it will go away or be improved. Who knows? It depends on who gets on a board. But a 5-member board would fix some of this craziness. Not all of it. Depends on who those 5 people are. But a 5-member board, it won't happen for another year. So if you guys want it, please don't forget. I'm never going to shut up about it until you get it in. But anyway, I'm here to talk about partially last night. Less about last night, but more about the impact. What I've heard about last night was there was a partial budget thing, a partial approval of an override, which again, it doesn't mean a lot to me, because you're going to vote on it in April and you're going to vote again in May, I think. And the craziness is going to start. I understand the fire truck passed, and I'm happy about that. I can't wait to see the video. I want to see if you guys did debate on the floor, if there was some interjection about how that happened, why we were having that vote, other than just, Gary Shepherd giving a speech and everybody applauding. I don't know if that happened. I don't know about it because I haven't heard that. I can't wait. I want to see the video. I'm hoping that there was conversation, that the people who are concerned about that did talk about it. I'm hoping that came up, because I think it was only fair. Townspeople have a right to ask questions, and that's all I was hoping for. I don't know how that went, but it passed, and I did want it to pass. I didn't want to see that go down, because there would be consequences. It wouldn't be the end of the world. Okay, it would not be the end of the world, but it wouldn't be the disaster that I was hearing threats from Veronica Kell, and we're gonna, not gonna get these fire trucks. That's bullshit. That was not ever gonna happen. And that was not a consequence. So, but they passed, so I'm not gonna keep beating a dead horse. We'll see when we get the trucks. And with all this stuff, we're at war with Canada, apparently. I never thought I'd see that day come in my life. This is stupidity. But that's a whole nother. I might do a video on that one of these days, because it's getting nuts out there. So what else? What else, Pat? What else went on? Let me check. I can't remember. I don't feel that well. I'm trying to knock some video. There's another select board meeting tonight. I can't wait. I'm not gonna go. I'll probably Zoom in. Somebody sent me some information. What does it say? Okay. I don't remember. Oh, I forgot about the most important one. Article 2 passed. I guess it was a slam dunk. The voters in this town don't like to have their right to vote taken away from them. So congratulations to our current and future town clerks. Kathy's retiring in another month. So at least this attempt by the Board of Selectmen to hijack that position failed. And now we got to give it the power that it deserves. We learned a little bit in the select board meeting last night that we really haven't been exercising the rights of that elected position. So I think we're going to see some changes, I hope, in making sure that the town clerk uses the power that they have. After we get through all this, I'm going to do, I hope, there's all these videos I have in my head that I want to do, but I want to do a video that talks about the town clerk position, and a little bit of the history and what's going. It's not necessary, but I think I do have my opinions on some things, but it's not happening today, and I'm not even going to delve into all my nonsense about that. But congratulations to the town for keeping that position as elected. And it's one of the few things that we can control on things that really impact our life all the time. This is a very important position that we need to have the speak on that. So I want to talk first before I get into what the select board said about what they were going to do if the override doesn't pass. So basically, I understand that the town budget, the general override didn't make it. It's not going to make it. I mean, they got to make the cuts. But this is the assholes we're dealing with. They want to retaliate, and they really do. On the select board meeting, was it last night? Oh, it was last night. The select board meeting before the town meeting. Veronica expressed her displeasure with the finance committee. Well, lady, the finance committee doesn't work for you. The finance committee, which I think that the chair of the finance committee forgets that he doesn't work for the Board of Selectmen. He worked for us. The finance committee, the role of the finance committee, I wish I had the financial committee handbook in front of me. I don't have it up, or I would read from it. I will read from it in the future. That the mission, and it's in our charter as well, it's to advise the role of the finance committee is to advise independently now, advise the voters, the legislative body, the town meeting floor on budgetary concerns, making sure that we're doing the right thing and not to just fall in line with whatever the select board wants. That is just a recipe for disaster. And it's a road we've been going down for the last few years. And it's really disturbed me that they haven't talked about the things that are causing us to get into trouble. And I'm going to be doing videos on the financial disaster that's pending. We're already in it, but there's more coming. And the writing's on the wall. Especially the last couple meetings of different boards who handle our finances. It'll all make sense. Some of my babbling right now seems babbling, but there's a lot to it, and I'm just kind of doing a preliminary. Plus, I don't feel well, so maybe I don't make sense. So, let me get to the first clip of the March 4th select board meeting. That seems so far away, but that was just a week ago, as the board was getting ready for everything. But you notice I did a video. I'm not in my usual studio. Not that I have a studio. I have a green screen behind a chair in another room. I'm operating without the green screen, so you got all kinds of things happening behind me. It's not working that well. Deal with it. Because I just don't feel like going down there. So I did a video, Veronica Kell and Turn Up Uranus and all this other stuff. Because she had a meltdown over public records. I'm going to do more on that on another video. Because that's turning into a bigger explosion than I thought. Well, I'm not surprised. But we're going to end up with problems from that. From the policy changes that they're trying to make. It's going to be more costly to the town than some of the budgetary issues that have already come up. They just don't know how to stop. So we got that one. But on that one, I really have concerns about our town leadership doesn't want the public to know anything. They don't want transparency. That is clear. I mean, they might say that word, but then they shut it off. No, we can't have public records requests. Oh, and we want to know who these people are. And that's where I'm really getting concerned now. They want to know who we are. When you go to meetings, you go to town meeting, you sign in, but as you're sitting there, nobody knows who you are. Actually, you signed in. But who, nobody, you can look around and say, I don't know these people. I've seen them around, but you don't know who their names are. Because town meeting, you're voting, it's a real thing. You have to sign in. But when you go to a select board meeting, you go to conservation, you go to all these meetings, you never have to identify yourself. Nobody ever has to sign in. On public hearings, you only have to sign in if you're going to testify. If you just want to go, you're under no obligation to sign in. A lot of people don't know that because the boards will want you to sign in. No, make me. Please make me. Please try to make me. Please. Yeah, call the cops. Go ahead. They'll tell you. They'll explain it. They'll explain the First Amendment to you, to everybody. And you don't have to sign in. That's First Amendment. That's First Amendment stuff. The right to assemble. There's no law that says you have to identify yourself to go to a public place. None. Not a law on the books. So you never have to do that. So you don't have to identify yourself. This includes Zoom. If you go on Zoom, you do not have to put your real name. You shouldn't put another name of another person that you're trying to be deceitful about. But you can put Mickey Mouse. You can put Donald Duck. You really can. You should not use profanity. And please don't be a Zoom bomber and do all kinds of obscene things. You'll get in trouble. That's illegal. There is problems with that. But you can initials, they don't have to be yours. You can make a political statement. You can make a political statement on your little box where you put your name. You can. These are perfectly fine. They cannot keep you from entering that meeting. You never have to turn on your video. Let me back up. If you're going to participate in the meeting, if for some reason they allow public comment, you do need to be able to identify yourself. You should identify yourself on who you are. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. Okay. I think you could run into problems of fraud if you're somebody else and you're not, when you're actually taking some kind of action. But as a member of the public, generally you don't have to identify yourself. If you're going to speak and so-called testify in a hearing or anything, you need to be who you are. You're not supposed to do fraudulent things and that kind of stuff. But so nobody has a right to know who you are unless you do break the law. And that's like, we have Zoom bombers. A Zoom bomber is somebody that comes in and then puts some obscene video running in their Zoom profile, and it shows to the universe. That's Zoom bombing. That's illegal. It's a federal violation, I understand. Zoom has policies on that, and in the meeting on March 4th, Dave Finioli, who is the TCAM guy, he explained it a little bit, not much, but a little bit to the board. Sometimes Dave is still learning on some of these things too, but sorry, Dave, you have some issues. But anyway, so on March 4th, Laura Schifrin, I was shocked but not shocked, because this board has no transparency, and they want to know who people are. They want to know people are, especially after the public records request that pissed off Veronica Kell is an anonymous person. She wants to know who that is. And now they want to know who everybody is. They don't want any of this anonymous stuff. They want to know who they're going to retaliate against. They want to know who to go after. And I try to tell them, it's not me. It's not me. I would have, I mean, if I want to know that all this, I don't need to hide myself. I try to be a little courageous. I'm a chicken shit sometimes, but I'm pretty courageous. Hey, come after me. Go ahead, please. Gotcha. I am prepared for you. So anyway, so I was a little bit shocked, but I want to share this little clip with you so that you can be shocked with me. That Laura Schifrin asked Dave a question. She asked him for his assistance. Can we find out who these people are who are coming in on Zoom and not identifying themselves? Basically, she wants to know when you're coming in on Zoom with initials or labels, you're not, you don't have your picture showing, your video's not on, you're not participating, you're just sitting there. She wants to know who you are. No. And she was asking Dave's help to get it. No, don't do it. I don't know. Wiretapping works both ways. It's not allowed. So let me stop babbling. I've been talking for 21 minutes about nothing. All right. I'm going to pull this up. Let's see what I got. This is the select board meeting from March 4th. I'm not showing the whole thing. They've been doing these 3-hour meetings, and I'm just not up for it. No, those days are gone for me. They have a 6-hour meeting from. Anyway, let me play this for you.
You were trying to ask me a question earlier.
I was. Is there a way of knowing like IP addresses of people who have come into Zoom?
Well, that's part of, yes.
So how do you
we really can't do it, but that's how, if like that Zoom bombing thing were to happen, there's a mechanism where we can click on an icon, it opens up a box and you click report this person, and it collects the IP address and the connections and whatever info it can, but sends it to Zoom, not to us. We don't have access to that. That way they'd have the authority to have the authorities go talk to somebody once they discover who did it, because now you're misusing their equipment. Federal offense, they can do it. With us, it's just, we can capture the information maybe, but we don't have the authority to really do anything legal against the person.
Okay.
So
just a question.
Yeah, no, understood.
Okay, I just want to bring. This is funny. Do you see Veronica Kell there? She's yawning. She's sleeping on this one. I guess she's been up nights trying to figure out how to screw up the taxpayers. Anyway, that's funny. But anyway, so I'm gonna go back to normal here. Come back to me. So Laura Schifrin was looking. I don't know if Laura Schifrin knows even what she's asking about, but she wanted to. I think somebody put her up to this question. I do, because I don't. Even though, I mean, I think most of us know what an IP address is, but I don't know if she was a little nervous. She wanted to ask a question of Dave, and I think she wanted to ask it offline. And he remembered, and he didn't think anything was unusual. That's what I think. I think she was trying to ask him something before the meeting and wanted to ask it offline. And I think that, they got onto meeting time, and now we put her on the spot and said, "Oh, you have a question you wanted to ask me?" And she kind of hesitated. So I think she wasn't really ready to do it in a meeting, but he got her, and I'm kind of glad he did. I don't think he didn't intend to catch her at anything. I think he was very sincere. And gee, you had a question. Can I answer it for you now? And she could have declined and said, "I'll catch up with you later." Nope. She sat there and said, "Should I?" Yeah. And I think I don't see Laura Schifrin as being even techie enough to ask this question. Hey, is it possible that we can capture people's IP addresses that are coming in on Zoom? That doesn't seem like a Laura Schifrin question. It doesn't. I don't. Maybe I'm. And I apologize, Laura, if I'm wrong about your technical skills or your use. I don't know. I don't know. I I just don't know. But yeah, she not only, she doesn't just want to know who we are. She wants our IP addresses because that can raise hell. That can raise some problems. Getting people's IP addresses, I think is going overboard. I think it goes outside any authority that they can have to actually capture people's IP addresses. It violates the citizen's privacy probably much larger than I'm even imagining. That the last thing I want is the town government to have my IP address. I suppose you can get it. But there's no reason. There's no official reason why that would be the thing. What Dave said was, I mean, Dave is, you think I babble. Dave Funny only babbles too. And he gave a long version and he has a slow speech, but he he gave a long version kind of what happens when you're a Zoom bomber. He was focused on the Zoom bomber. He doesn't like Zoom bombers, and I'm sure it causes him quite a bit of stress. And when you're talking about I want their IP address, he went right to the Zoom bomber. But I think Laura Schifrin is more interested in you and I, who are going to go to a meeting. She wants to know who we are. The Zoom bomber is one thing, but she wants to know who you and I are when we sign in. And getting an IP address or to be able to do anything with it, that's where my concerns go. Not just having it, it's what you do with it. It's one thing with Zoom. I'm going to add a little bit to what Dave said. Within Zoom, when you hit the report button, when you're a host on a Zoom meeting, which I wish our boards would use Zoom to its better capacity. Some of the things they do now is pretty stupid, but that's just my opinion. But if you're a host or a co-host, I think even co-hosts, we don't use the anyway. But you hit a button. There's a couple of, I haven't hosted lately. I have, so I'm familiar with this. It's just I'm out of practice. But and they keep changing it anyway. But there's a process, and they've got it set so you can do it kind of quick, because Zoom bombing really developed as a very serious problem during COVID. That I'm surprised it still exists, but c'est la vie. You hit the protocol to you want to report this person, but you also want to block them. You want to kick them out. When you kick them out, one of the processes is to, if you kick them out, I believe they're gone for 24 hours. They can't come back in if you're meeting, but your meeting, you can go to, it's just that meeting. Some meetings actually go on for 24 hours. There really are meetings out there that can go on and on and on. And you use the same address, you use the same Zoom link, but we do different Zoom links, which is a good security protocol, but it's also better for the public. So if you accidentally got kicked out of a selectmen's meeting, you can always come back tomorrow. Which it happens. Hosts sometimes kick people out of meetings, and it's an accident. Oh, I hit the wrong button. What am I going to do? And that person's just screwed for 24 hours. That's all. And I believe, and then there's a report button. You report to Zoom what happened. And then I think there's more section to that, but Zoom wants to know what you're reporting. So you have to do all this other stuff, because then when things go into criminal stuff, don't sweat that. I mean, if you're a Zoom bomber, you should sweat that. you're going to get caught. Well, no, everybody uses VPNs now. So even the IP address. Yeah, I mean, that would be a protection for you and I. If we're going to deal with the town now, you got to use a VPN because they're coming. They want to know who you are. This is asinine. But you should probably use a VPN anyway for everything. But I'm not going to give that class today. My concern is just she asked that question. Like, so much for transparency. They want to know who you are. Why? For retaliation. Why do you think? These people are not interested in your welfare. So that's my 2 cents on the privacy thing. I'm going to be doing more video on the public records nightmare, the really pull back, the attempts to do away with transparency altogether in the town of Townsend. So let me get back to the post special town meeting hangover, and still sitting in the same meeting of March 4th, 2025, where I'm looking at my little cheat sheet here, where I'm going to play this. I'm going to set you up with what it's going to talk about. Part of it is what they plan to do because the override didn't pass. The retaliation on everybody is get rid of trash. I'm going to do a whole video on trash. You know it's coming. But they won't make any cuts to public safety, which I think is totally asinine. Let me talk about that. Public safety. Depending on what world you're living in, what imaginary world you want to live in. No, we can't shut down the police and fire department. That's just not reasonable. That's not what I would ever even suggest. I mean, we're not that small. If we had one cop and one cruiser, and and we let the cop sleep in the cruiser because he's the only one. I mean, no, that's not us. We're really completely fully staffed, short of filling a position. We have, Chief Sartell is really, he's kept that department fully funded, fully staffed. Despite, there'll be a short, they need an officer here and there, but I mean, it's not shorthanded in the respect of it's understaffed by design, or we're not giving them any supportive vehicles. They don't have enough budget to safely do their job. They're 10 times better than many other communities in Massachusetts that are just very much under. And I'm not suggesting that we join them. But we're pretty much at 100%, maybe 110%. And I can show I'm even going to use the word inappropriate. What the campaign that Veronica Kell has been on from her previous stint on the Board of Selectmen, including this one, to turn Townsend into a martial law state, a police state, and she wants almost 100% of her budget, shut down the schools and take that money and put it on the police department. I'm exaggerating, yes. I admit it. And I am not, despite what some people want you to believe, I am not anti-cop. I am all for police transparency. I despise cops who lie. I despise police corruption. I will call it out when I see it. I will not mince words. I am not discussing that. I am strictly talking about budget. And I know, when I came to this town in 1981, in 1982, I started out as a police dispatcher. I became part of the team. I was part of that team for over 20 years. I went from being a dispatcher. I dispatched in Townsend, Groton, and Shirley, actually. I then, in there, I went to school for being an EMT. I actually went to EMT school because I wanted to be a better dispatcher. Medical calls made me nervous. So I said, I'm going to go be an EMT. I'm going to take the course. I wasn't sure I was going to get on the ambulance. And then once I got on the ambulance, once I took the training, I got on the ambulance and kind of moved away from dispatching. That was transition. But I've been part of public safety since I moved here. And hello, and continued beyond in a different aspects of public safety my whole adult life, really. So I get it. I understand what the job is, and I understand what it isn't. And I support public safety. I want to be very clear about that. I am not against any aspect of public safety, but we have to be realistic on what we can afford. And I have faith, the one person at this time I have faith in, and that's our police chief. He is not going to go against the selectmen. I don't blame him. He's going to sit there and go, okay, I'll do what you ask. And what the select board is doing is shoving money down his throat. That happened a couple years ago. I have the video on it. I'm going to show you, not today, but I'll show you the video where Veronica Kell gave Chief Sartell $30,000 on his budget that he didn't want. That was her last stint on the Board of Selectmen. I have the video. It was in a meeting. And she's doing the same thing now. We are in desperate times right now with our budget. And she's throwing money at them. And saying we can't touch them. We need to give them more. And her budgetary ideas are insanity. They don't make any sense. None. But I'm going to show this video. Okay, I'm going to move this video along on the March 4th Selectmen meeting, where they kept, this must have been a 3-hour deal. I don't remember. But I'm going to show it. Let me see if I can bring it back up. Oh, there it is. Is that the one? Is that the one I wanted? That's the one. So I'm going to move forward. Oh, come on.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go 2-hour mark. I'm going to show you this, and then right here, I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents after.
To get the program up and running and continuing the implementation throughout the year.
Well, our option then is the override passes and we have trash. The override doesn't pass, we don't have trash. If in fact we're not gonna, do
And if it doesn't pass, we're gonna lose a lot more too.
oh yeah, not just trash. So.
And I think I would probably, in my slideshow presentation, sort of mention some of those things that might potentially be cut. Trash is certainly one that we just talked about. The pavement program that's going away.
I think that's going whether or not we have an override.
Yeah.
It's gone
true.
even with the override.
And then it's, we don't have the details, but it could be like a 20% cut or whatever the number is across these, departments. I think we've already sort of agreed on that. Public safety we shouldn't cut because it's a public safety issue. You can't cut really on debt and insurance. So, and we're not in charge of cutting the school budget. So when you take away all those buckets, you're only left with a handful of things that you can cut, and those areas are going to experience pretty painful cuts.
It comes down to the highway department, cemetery and parks, library, senior center,
Town hall.
town hall. It's pretty much what it comes down to. And it means we're gonna be closed for the most part, 1 day a week.
And I did hear, I don't know if anybody else heard this, but I did hear the other day that there
Oh, this is where you got to listen to this nonsense. Just listen to this and imagine what life would be like if we followed Laura's advice. Here we go.
are some communities, some towns that do not clear the roads now until after a storm is over. They do not go out until after the storm is over. That means that nobody's going out.
People need to know that. If that's what, in
I
fact,
mean, we haven't voted that here,
No.
but that,
Now I'm pausing the video right here. I'm going to bring you back. Now, Laura Schifrin just opined that, some towns have voted not to clear the roads until after a storm as a way to save money. That's my idea of killing people. How to kill people. Literally kill people. Well, I mean, you need, I suppose that would solve, our housing program, our problem, I should say. It would solve a housing problem. Maybe there would be some additional expenses that we'd save if we killed off half the residents by getting people killed during snowstorms. People have places to go. And who would really, I think, would have a real problem with the highway not touching roads until after it stops snowing? Or, you don't pre-treat roads for ice. You wait until after the cars start running off the road. They drive on the road. We don't treat ice until after accidents start to happen. Right now, our highways been doing an excellent job. I am really thrilled. We've got really the best, I have to say. Jim Smith, he knows it. I know he knows it. He's our highway guy. He's in charge, the superintendent over there. He's got this done. This is the best highway department that I've seen since I've lived here. I've lived here over 43 years. Kudos. Great job. They want to take it away. Now, occasionally things slip by. You can't be everywhere at all times. But they try. They do an excellent job. But the today plan, this is guidelines, national probably, or at least statewide, at least for the states that have black ice and stuff. We get ice on the roads. Is the pre-treatment process. You may not be aware of it, but they go around before, if we've got a storm coming, they pre-treat the roads. They go around and they put this solution down on all the roads, and that prevents ice from forming. The early stages of a storm. It does wear out, but I mean, it's not totally magic, but it feels like it. Then you don't have those icy conditions as a storm is getting started. And of course, plowing doesn't have to occur until there's a couple inches on the road, but it's very dangerous in those first hours. So pre-treatment happens, and then getting out there right away, it saves lives. Lives, not just money. This is about lives. I mean, if there's a public safety department, it's the highway department. There are advocates to actually put highway departments under public safety. There are people who would like to see that. And I think it's probably a good idea because, okay, let's go back to dirt roads. There are roads, I think Ashby still has some dirt roads. I could be wrong about that. But if you don't, so we're not going to plow. All right, let's say we're going to get a foot of snow. I mean, right now, hopefully, we've had 2 feet in April. So we're still not out of the woods right now. It's a nice day today. But if we have a foot of snow, you know who can't get out? The EMTs, the firefighters, EMTs who need to get on the ambulance. That's who can't get out. Oh, the ambulance needs to get to your house. Let me think of a road. What road do you live on? Let's go like down Tyler Road or something, or go out Gilchrist and let's get there without the roads being plowed. Oh, you need an ambulance? Well, the storm is scheduled to end in about 4 hours. Then when the highway department clears the roads, we'll be there. Just hold your breath. And they mean that literally because, oh, you can't breathe. You need an ambulance because you can't breathe. Oh, you think you're having a heart attack. You think you can hang on for 4 more hours? Oh, you broke your leg. You fell off a ladder. Oh, your car fell on top of you because you were trying to put chains on it. Hang on, maybe the car on top of you might actually be good because it'll stop the bleeding. You won't hemorrhage unless we remove the car. So we're just going to leave you there for 4 hours. Once they clear the roads, we'll be able to get the ambulance to you. And if you're still alive, we'll get you to the hospital. If they've got the other roads plowed. But they're not going to touch the roads now until after the storm is over. And some storms last 12 hours, maybe longer. We've had some storms that have been a couple days. So I don't know if this is really a good thing. The police, they're in cruisers. They're not even in trucks. They're in cars. I don't think, maybe they have chains available. I don't know. But if there's a foot of snow, the cruiser's not going to make it through that. Those that have trucks that are on the police department might have a chance. But, if crimes are being committed, if there is an accident, see you in 4 or 5 hours. We'll come investigate it. Bundle up. Make sure you have blankets in your cars because you're going to be stuck in the snow for hours on end before anybody does anything. Nobody is coming. No one is coming until the storm is over. Because it's not just the highway's not going to plow the streets. The police aren't going to go down the streets that aren't plowed. And certainly not the ambulances. Fire trucks, it depends. Depends on how bad it is. You don't want to see a fire truck lose control on an icy road. You've seen pictures of cars that go into the second story of people's houses. Usually they're shit-faced. But an out-of-control fire truck, not a good sight. Can you imagine? This is what Laura Schifrin is suggesting, that we stop plowing the roads. We don't do anything. The highway department doesn't go out if it's snowing. So it stops. Only when the sun comes out, that's when we're going to we're not going to do any work on the roads either. Those potholes, they're staying. They're staying. No potholes. Veronica said in this meeting, right before I stopped it, that the pavement program is over anyway. She's just pissed off at you and I. And that's it. So I just wanted to bring your attention to Laura Schifrin's suggestion that one of the budgetary solutions could be to have the highway department not go out until the storms are over. That would be, she clearly has no idea what the highway department does. So all the pre-treatment that they've been doing, any plowing that happens during a storm, nope. Everybody's stuck where they are, including the police, fire, and EMS. Got it? Nobody's moving. That's Laura Schifrin's solution to the budgetary crisis. Okay. I'm going to shut up now. I haven't been talking that long. All right. Let me bring this. Oops, hold on. I got to bring it back up all the way. Let's see.
That has been voted in other communities. Because snow and ice is so high.
Right.
and then the labor for it besides.
It's the labor when you're plowing at night or on the weekend. And rather than during regular hours.
Right.
Weekends we're still gonna have, because you're gonna,
Okay, this is more stupidity. She said it's only cost. She's concerned about the labor cost on weekends and nights. Thinking that it's all overtime, but what she doesn't understand, clueless again, that it doesn't matter if you have a snowstorm at noontime. We only have a few highway guys. Most of the plows that go by your house aren't being driven by the highway department. They're being operated by contractors that are coming in, and they get paid the same whether it's Monday morning at 10 a.m. or Sunday night at midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday, Saturday, holidays. They're paid a contracted rate. It's not, we're saving overtime. It is a lot of labor. It is labor intensive. Welcome to New England. And then the snow and ice budget that's a whole different animal. I'm not going to get into it. We need to up that, but that's a whole nother conversation. These people make me sick. Anyway, let's go.
need to clear on the weekends.
I can't wait for next week.
What?
Another hour of daylight. Next week, it's coming
Right.
soon to a neighborhood near you.
Sabrina.
What?
Quick question, is this going to be a handout for the special town meeting?
I think it should be.
Yeah,
Yes, it
Yes.
should be.
Yeah.
People like to hold things and
Yeah.
look at them.
and I'm not at the point where it's ready. But I think it's just gonna be 2 or 3 slides at most,
And we'll see it.
Okay, that's the end of that. But Veronica was talking about also, I mean, she's mad that people aren't just bending over backwards. No matter what she is doing, she's creating more of a crisis than she can ever solve. And there's just no way that she can fix any of this budgetary problem the way that she's going. She was talking about everybody, all the departments. She wants to shut down the library, shut down the senior center. And these are kind of attacks. These are threats. Okay, take these for what they are. They are threats. They're real. I don't want me to interpret that I'm saying they're idle threats. Don't listen. No, listen. These are very real things. I've been crying for 4 or 5 years to Veronica mostly. You've got to make cuts, and they've all refused to do any of it. They're adding to every time I say make a cut, they add $10,000 minimum to the budget someplace. This has been completely ridiculous. Incompetence, fiscal incompetence by mostly Veronica. She's been the driving force in all this nonsense. But she was talking about cutting the library, the senior center, the highway. We might really have no roads, no passable roads in the town. What other department? Oh, town hall. And then they're pretty adamant. Oh, they're going to do all these things, and then we're going to cut down to 4-day work week. They're going to shut down town hall for a day. They have no memory, no historical memory of what has happened when we've done that in the past. That doesn't save anything. That's a loss. Actually, this is a message to the Board of Selectmen and to everybody in town. Which I don't think that they gather this, that they grasp it. The town has tried this nonsense before without doing a comprehensive ideas of how can we actually reduce the budget, don't, without going, oh no, we're going to have an override. No, that's insane. Actually start cutting every single place without being retaliatory. There are things that happen that cost money when you start making stupid decisions. One important factor that when this was done before, way back, seems like ancient history, but it really wasn't all that long ago. Andy Sheehan, I don't even blame him for the, I mean, your town administrator should know these things, but Townsend always gets newbies. And I'm not criticizing Nelson Moy. He's new. He's really new. He was a town official. He was DPW in Arlington, I think, before coming here. He's never been a town administrator. This is his first town administrator job. He's not doing too bad, but he needs to learn this quick. When we had Andy Sheehan, he was, I think, kind of new then as well. We always, because we don't want to pay anybody, and we'll spend money on crazy things and not pay people that we need to. That's why we can't keep people. The Andy Sheehan came up with the same brilliant idea when overrides weren't passing on his watch. And that was to shut down the town hall to a 4-day week, and they cut people's hours. Okay, we're going to save on all these labor costs, and for some crazy reason thought that the town hall would be cheaper to operate physically, the physical plant of town hall, by only having a 4-day open 4 days a week. And that doesn't make sense. It actually costs the town more money. It actually cost the town more money. It did. Because we are self-funded for unemployment. When you cut people's hours back, I'm not sure where the line is drawn. Like if we lay people off, when we do it, whoever's doing, when they're actually going to start laying people off, which has to happen. Okay. It has to happen. I'm not angry at anybody that would be affected. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. If somebody gets laid off, or we have open positions, we need to have a freeze. We need to have a hiring freeze and not fill them. It's all, and that's all departments, public safety included. We need to make these cuts. In fact, I was starting to say that I trust Sartell a little bit to know how to cut his department. He needs to. He knows it. He's sitting there waiting. I know he's able to do it. He's probably got it all figured out. He knows it's coming. I mean, selectmen don't want to do it, but he knows it's coming. And he's probably got, it's a classified plan. It's locked up in his safe in his office, I'm sure. But he's got a plan on what will have to happen, on how to do it, that meets the union rules, and what he's got to do. He's already, I trust that he's got a lot of experience and education. He teaches other people in how to do this. He actually does. So I'm confident that he'll keep public safety top notch, but he will be able to cut his budget. It would probably mean cutting staff. But I trust that he can do it. But back to town hall. Andy Sheehan cut back the town hall to the 4-day work week, reduced hours. I think there were might have been a couple layoffs in there. I'm not sure. But we found out the hard way. I was not associated with the town. I might have been no, I don't even know if I was FinCom yet. But he he found out we're self-funded for unemployment, which means it's not like, I've mentioned this to Nelson, but I don't think he quite grasped what that means. That means if we lay somebody off, like if you get laid off from your job at ABC widget factory or something, you wherever you get laid off from, you go right down to unemployment, or you do it online now, and you file an unemployment claim. You've been paying your unemployment tax on your W-2 there. You pay half the money that comes out of your pay voucher there. Your paycheck is got taxed to death. One of them is unemployment. I can't remember. SUTA, state unemployment tax, SUTA. That's unemployment. They may change the acronyms. I haven't gotten a regular paycheck in years. So, and then your employer also pays, contributes to that when you have a job. Your employer is also contributing, and the rate that your employer pays is based on their rate of keeping people employed. If they don't lay people off, their tax is low. So that's an incentive for employers to keep people on the payroll and not lay people off for nothing. Well, the town of Townsend and a lot of municipalities, it's not just us, and even I think some companies do this, that they self-fund their unemployment. In other words, if you get laid off, you might go running down to unemployment. You file an unemployment claim, but what'll happen is unemployment isn't paying it. You'll get the money from unemployment. Yes. Whatever you're entitled. But what'll happen is unemployment sends a bill. If you're self-funded, unemployment sends that bill, whatever they paid you, comes back to the town, and the town must pay that. So if you make $100,000 a year, I'm using your annual numbers. I know unemployment usually goes by a weekly thing. But all right, let's say you make $1,000 a week. And let's say you're entitled, I don't know what the percentages are, so I'm just making this up. But if you normally make $1,000 a week gross, and you're entitled to $500 a week unemployment, hopefully you get more, but maybe not. If unemployment is going to pay you $500 a week, then the town's going to get billed $500 a week. The town is going to say, "Oh, I'm saving $1,000." No, you're not, because you got to pay that employee whatever their unemployment check is. You got to pay that. And then if there's anything else that unemployment's going to fund, like any insurance stuff, you're going to continue to pay for whatever benefits unemployment deems that your employees are entitled to. So whatever numbers the town thinks it's going to cut from the budget, they're only cutting 50, whatever the percent. They need to find out the unemployment rate. Not how much does unemployment pay? When somebody gets laid off, what percentage of their check would they normally be entitled to? I don't know that number off the top of my head. I may look it up because the town's clueless on everything else. I might as well tell them that too. But so you cannot use your basic salary number to think that that's what you're saving on your budget. If you'll need to lay off twice as many people as the budget is claiming right now. If you need to cut $500,000, and let's say you have 5 people that make $100,000 each, you're going to have to lay off 10 people to save the 500,000, because we're still going to pay them their unemployment expenses. Cutting hours, I'm not sure. Cutting hours, there may be something on the unemployment. I don't know. If you get cut certain hours, if you're entitled to some form of unemployment, I'm not sure. Probably not. I don't know. But then the cost of running the building, that doesn't change. Closing the town hall for one day, there's no savings on the building. Running the building costs the same because if it's you still have to heat it. You might, if it's in the winter, you got to heat it because of pipes freezing. You don't want that mistake because then you're going to have additional maintenance problems. Then if you have in the summer, you may not, you'll save some money on air conditioning, maybe, but there's a lot of things going on in the building that the savings, you're not saving a penny by shutting the town hall one day a week. If we shrunk our government enough to where we had there was no reason to open. You don't want to try to close town hall one day a week because for a cost savings, because it doesn't exist. The only reason I can think of to cut the hours of town hall on as far as days of the week would be if we truly are not we're really going to shrink our government to we don't have the staff to work. We don't have the staff to open. There's just no point. Sometimes when that town hall's closed, this does happen sometimes. The town hall will be closed, but employees are working. Some employees do go in on the weekends to get work done. They do. Not a lot, but they do because there's no customers. But there's really no cost savings in just thinking you're going to save your budget by taking a day off the schedule. These are really, our budget has gotten to a really bad spot. I've been warning for 5 years that you've got to make cuts because the longer you procrastinate making the cuts that are necessary, the more expensive it becomes because you go deeper and deeper into the hole. I'm going to be doing another video on the I think it was the most recent. There was one of the most recent capital planning meetings. I'm going to it scared the shit out of me, and it's going to scare the shit out of you. They had the treasurer there who went over some crazy plans, and it really scares me because I got a funny feeling I know what conversation was happening offline, and it just we can't have this. We're going to, there are people that say, we're going to go into receivership. And I was skeptical about that, but we're heading that way. We're not there, but we got to do something because we're going to need DOR to come in here to help us sort this out if we don't do something soon. And the way this Board of Selectmen is going, it's rapidly approaching. But the capital plan, we're talking about making all these other budget cuts, and instead they added $795,000 to the capital plan. Some of that needed to be because we got leases, so those have to continue. But they added more stuff, and it came up to over almost $800,000. And one thing that a lot of people get confused about, oh, why don't we just borrow the money? I know Teresa Morris was pulling that one. I'm like, Teresa, borrowing money is not the answer. Well, if we want to get a capital thing, we want to borrow the money. We can borrow the money. And you're just you're kicking the big can down the road, but you're shrinking the available money on our tax levy, which means you're stealing from the future. You're really stealing from the future because we have to make payments. If you're having trouble making ends meet in your personal life and you want to buy a car, I'll just borrow the money. Well, how are we going to make the payments? I'll just borrow the money. I'm going to borrow the money. Payments is not, I'm not going to make the payments. So you're going to base your future budgeting on your payment. Can I make the payments? What's a reasonable, when I buy a vehicle, I'm more interested in getting a good interest rate. That's me. I want a good interest rate. And then I do need the payments to be reasonable, but I'd rather have a higher payment and a lower interest rate. But the payment still meets within my ability to pay it. And that's the important piece. Because that payment for the next 4 to 6 years, car payments are out to 6 years now. What in the world is happening? But they're getting longer. They used to be 3. That was 3. You got a 3-year loan. There was nothing more than that. Now they're out to 6 and probably longer. So, but if you're going to borrow money in your personal life, that payment on that loan is going to curtail your spending for however long that loan is. That includes if you're going to refinance your house, if you're going to get a home equity loan even. You might say, oh, I'm going to take out a home equity loan because I want to redo my kitchen. I'm going to build one of those accessory units. Well, that's great. And you're going to get a home equity. And the first minute you have it, you're going to go, oh, my life is better. They just gave me $200,000. I can just, I can have a party. And then you have to, but then you have to make payments on those loans. And that curtails the money you have available to do everything but pay Unitil, pay your groceries, put gas in this new car. It shrinks the available money you have to pay for your basic living needs. And this is the same with town government. When we say, oh, we're going to get $795,000 worth of capital and we're going to borrow the money. We're going to kick that can down the road. But the payments, I don't care how much is principal, how much is interest. At this stage, you're shrinking the available money that you have in the future to pay your basic expenses, your regular budget that you seem to think is continuing. No, that's not how it works. You can't just borrow yourself. You can't borrow yourself out of debt. And that seems to be what our town has been trying to do. One of my next videos is going to be the capital planning meeting where I'm going to show you just how incompetent our town leadership is. Because that startled me. It really startled me. Another pet peeve I have, I am in babble mode now. I don't feel well, so I'm babbling all over the place. We'll see how many views this video gets. Anyway, another pet peeve I have about Proposition 2.5. I don't have a pet peeve with Proposition 2.5. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that law. The problem I have is the interpretation of it by our town leadership. I know Chaz was doing this stuff that makes no sense. You cannot look at your budget and say, okay, we're going to increase everything by 2.5%. That is not how Proposition 2.5 works. Because every year, we borrow all this money. You have all these other things that are pulling on the budget. And you have a basic tax levy. I'm going to do a video that shows you the sheet that we get from DOR that shows basically how our tax levy is determined. And it has new growth on it. It has the deductions, the additions and the deductions, because we get local receipts, we get stuff, cherry sheets, all this other stuff that comes from the state. And then we have money that we have to pay out that gets deducted. And then we have debt. Debt gets reduced. I wish debt got reduced. Debt will reduce the amount of money that's available in our tax levy. So when you go to do the budget, you don't have 2.5% anymore. The 2.5% is you can only raise your tax levy. You can only raise by real estate taxes 2.5% of your previous. That's all you can grow. That's your growth after all the other formula pieces. But because we keep adding debt and we're failing on new growth. We need to build more properties or additions. I mean, oh, so our new growth is actually went down last year. So we are really in trouble on this fiscal year 26. We really are in trouble. But you can't look at the budget and go, we're going to increase it by 2.5%. That's not how it works, because you do not have 2.5% of what's already there from last year. You don't have that much. You don't have that much. Some of your mandatory expenses exceed that, and some things are less than that. Some things don't have to go up that much, but a lot of things are mandatory. You can't change them, and they go up more than that. Some things have gone up 4%. One of the big problems is health insurance. But there's others. That's just one. And that's really nothing. There's other things that impact that. But some of our other stuff is local receipts, because a lot of times when we pay certain bills or we get money in, a lot of that money has to go to the state before it comes back. And so we'll pay money today and we're not going to get that money back till next year. As you know, that's complicated, and I'm sorry, but you can't. The way this town has been budgeting for the last few years is really mind-boggling. When you're looking at budgeting for you're budgeting in a municipal budget, you always, this isn't what Townsend does. You always start with how much money you have coming in. You do not start with how much money you want to spend. You do not, ever. But that's what Townsend does. They're doing it completely upside down. You start, even in your life, you do not, I mean, you will make a list when you're trying to figure out your finances. You write down all your expenses. You do, but that's a separate thing. But you write down how much money you have coming in. All of it. And you put that column, you put that number up on the top. It might be the top right-hand corner. Depends on how you're doing it. I often do it on an actual piece of paper. Then I put it on a computer to do the hard math. Just to get organized, I write it down on a real piece of paper. You put how much money you have coming in from all sources. You just start writing it down. Where's all my money coming from? Then you deduct from that your expenses that are mandatory. Those are gone. Okay. Then you look at your expenses. And that would be payroll and things. What do you got to spend your money on? Then you go, oh, I don't have the money. I have $5 million, but I have $6 million worth of expenses. You need to cut those expenses back by $1 million. You don't budget by saying, I need to add $1 million. I need to go find $1 million. Oh, override. No. You look at, I got $5 million. I have $6 million worth of expenses. I need to get rid of $1 million worth of expenses. That's how you budget. That's simplifying it. And our budget is bigger than $5 million, but I'm trying to simplify things. But that's how that works. Granted, some things are killers on the budget, but we cannot increase. We can't just look at our town and go, oh, I want to add this. I want to add that. Let's borrow another $1 million. No, that needs to be put an end to. And I don't understand why. I just, it makes me sick. I keep moving because my foot's going to sleep. Sorry. All right. I'm babbling, but I have a lot to say. I'm going to be doing more videos on some of the things happening. I really want to share. Well, I share my opinion. That's the purpose of my channel, is to share my opinion, but to also share information about what's happening in this crazy town of Townsend, Massachusetts, that is really important. So I'm going to be talking about budget stuff between now and probably town meeting in May. But also I'm very concerned about the issues around transparency. We're going to have things about that. And once I get the list of who's running for office, I'll be talking about that. What positions are ripe for a write-in? Because I think this is the year of the write-in. I think it'll be interesting. This is going to be an interesting election. This will be my first election where I have my YouTube channel. So I'll be able to campaign for people that aren't running. This will be fun. We had the November thing, but that was different. That was a special. This is the real deal. This is the real deal, people. The real deal news. Real deal around town. We are going to probably stop right now. Yeah, I think I'm done. For now, it is, I haven't changed my clock yet. It's 1:00. Real time, not for you, for me. And I am going to get ready. I got to double check the time. I think the selectmen's meeting is 6:00 tonight. Although I'm not sure. I got to check the time on the agenda. I won't be going because I'm still not feeling well. And I know I can't just tolerate. I don't think I have anything contagious, although I could. I don't know. But I'm not going to go. I am going to Zoom. Unless if they shut down Zoom, I might actually get in my car and go over there. Maybe I'll wear a mask. Anyway, I will see you on the next video. Thank you for tolerating me today on this video. And if I get another cup of coffee, I might come back and do another version of something. I don't know. But thanks for tolerating me and listening to me babble on about the special town meeting hangover. And please feel free to give comments. Don't comment about my babbling. It is what it is. But if you have something to tell me, please just say anything appropriate. Just, okay. All right. I'm not in the mood. But all right. I will talk to you soon. See you on the next video. Have a good rest of your day, whatever you're doing. And do like, share, subscribe, all that happiness. I really appreciate it. Okay. Have a good one.